Now, you're going to be in charge of being able to create the find first occurrence. Now, remember, this isn't all that complicated when we're getting this because, again, first, you're going to be accepting all of the names from that list that I have just pointing right here, and then you're going to be accepting a string that you're hoping to find in there. So this is really a string function at first. But how am I going to be able to go ahead and return our pair of values when it comes to both if I found it or not found it or didn't find it, number one. And number two, how would I assign it, our integers, to our pair of if we did find it, like John, it would return John Phillips and -2, something that, or it's -2, +2, something that just went over previously. So that's your overall setup of what your exercise is going to be. So here's the following instructions that we have here. So I want you to work on that. This is going to be tougher. It's not really because of the string finding part. That part you should know pretty well or should be able to adapt to pretty quickly. It's using, really honestly, it's being highlighted right now. How do I use that to go ahead and return a value? I want you to try that for a little bit, and then I'll give you an answer here in a little bit. So get to work on this. See if you can get it to run yourself, and we'll go over and answer here in a moment. So here's our solution. So number one, I messed no, I didn't mess with the string names. I thought I did. But anyway, here I'm looking for John, and this time I'm looking for Bill. So we'll see what happens here. But here's what the meat of the real, solution is here. First, we obviously need to pass in the array, so that's being highlighted right now in the string name. That part's meant to be easy, and it is. Okay. Number two is actually going through the array to see if we find the name or not. Now, it's a partial, so we have to be very, very careful about that. But the important part is that we're going to set up our return for two possible values. If we don't find anything, then we're going to use this return. We have a new pair of string integer, and notice that's the easy way of creating an instance of our pair. Remember, that's if we didn't find anything, so we're going to return null. We didn't find any, and we return a -1 because it wasn't found in that index. So using that pattern, we'd also find if we did do a compare to, and we have our value here, then we're going to return new pair, and then notice that it would return in the same type of parentheses set that we have down here. It will return the exact name and the index number that we are currently at with X. So it's very, very interesting setup when it comes to just creating an instance of our new pair. But you saw that actually previously with a couple other things that we did in the example of basically right about here and right about in one of the examples that we had before that. So that's where you're going to be set up for this. Now, again, notice I'm using a very simple, two objects that I'm combining together here of a string and an integer. These can be complex objects. So just a heads up on that when you do some planning. If you have objects and you know they should be tupled in some fashion, using generics in this is a way to do it, to make sure that frankly you have them bundled correctly and that you can use them later on.